Recording in progress. And here we are. And I have a guest with me today named, it's Reading, right? Tracy Reading?
Reading.
Reading.
But I don't really care.
I know I've been called many things. Carrie, Clary, whatever. I've been called worse. But you know, how convenient was that to have your last name Reading-ish?
Reading's Readings.
Reading's Readings. So Tracy and I have known each other on online through Facebook. And did you like connect through Stardust? Is that how you found?
I think I found your videos on YouTube, the Stardust videos. I don't know how I ended up going down that rabbit hole, and then I just I kind of watched all of the videos, and then there was like alien sex, and I was like, I'm hooked.
Oh, all right. Because with you, I recently went through all my friends list, and I would keep the people that had many that I knew that were connected to Eric. There's like the Eric circle and then the outer Eric circle, but we don't have many mutual friends at all. So you're like an anomaly with that. So, and you one time you had a healing session with me, and I had very vivid images in my mind, and my heart blew up for you. And I'm like, there's something more to this relationship. And I know you feel it too. I know that we feel like a sweet and close connection that, we sometimes don't understand why. So I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to see you face to face, so to speak, instead of just through text. And right off the bat, I had to grab my towel because I already got feely about it. So I want to give you just a minute to explain who you are and what you do and what we're going to do today, what you're going to help me with. So go.
Okay. British people really hate talking about themselves.
I love it. It's always all about me.
I just had a group chat with a few weeks ago. We did a Zoom call with a few people, and I get to the point where I had to introduce myself. I was like, I can't. Somebody else needs to do it. But I guess I kind of been doing this metaphysical stuff for a few years now, since I got out of a shitty relationship a few years ago. And after that, I decided that I needed to really start looking at myself and work out, why does stuff like this keep happening to me? Is it me? Is it something I'm doing? And that wasn't all of the answer, but there was certainly a lot of stuff about myself that I needed to take care of, because I don't like saying broken, because I don't believe I don't believe anyone is ever broken. Right. I was hurt and I needed a lot of healing. So I had to find my own way towards that, because our mental health services were not, I went to counsellors. It just didn't feel right. I don't need to go back to the point of the pain and keep rehashing it. I need to work out, how do I clear this for myself so that it doesn't have a resonance for me anymore? And that's kind of what I've ended up doing, and getting into the Akashic records and working out how these patterns of past lives keep on coming up and repeating, and holding us in a kind of holding pattern, in a rut that we feel like we can't get out of. And I've been working on my own ruts, and then I thought, well, I need to start helping other people. So and I'm kind of doing a course and stuff like that. And
I came at you like a year ago or so, and said, maybe we can do, practice reading or something online, just have fun with it. If we don't want to publish, and you just weren't ready, but here you are, and you are ready. And so, I want to, one of the things I like to do when I have people on is, not that I'm all that, but it gives you an opportunity to have some exposure too. So do you have a web address, and can, after people see, your magic with me today, they might want a piece of you too. So how would they get in touch with you?
They might think I'm full of bullshit, but
they might.
Some of them might really want my special brand of bullshit. So,
That's right. Well, you know what? I noticed that people that are drawn to me are meant to be drawn to me, and those that aren't, so it doesn't, my viewership fluctuates. It stays kind of on the low end though, but that's okay. The people that need to see me, and those that don't, good. Then I get rid of the haters, so.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I do. Well, I've just bought myself a domain, but I haven't actually built a website yet. So, but you can find me on Facebook. I have a page. I'll send you the link.
There you go. Okay.
You've seen my Facebook page anyway. It's called Now Gethley. So.
Right. I didn't even know that was you that time when I was sharing it. I thought I was sharing for a friend of yours, but it was you.
It was me.
Okay, so Tracy, what are we going to do today?
Well,
Should I
sessions kind of
let me start because
sessions kind of plan themselves, it's like you
okay.
talk and then we'll see what comes
Okay,
up. And
okay.
but part of what I do is not just the Akashic stuff, it's about looking at your beliefs, where they come from, challenging the beliefs, calling
Okay.
people out on their bullshit as well, because we all carry around a lot of bullshit stories that we buy as true. So one of the things I do is like I use my truth testing and tracking to go, is this real or is this just something they believe? Is there actually anything to this? Or if they just built up this story and
Okay.
added all of these emotions to it that make it into a thing?
Okay.
And I'll explain a bit more down the road about that.
Okay. I wanted to you reached out to me because of my daughter and her eating disorder and the distress I'm in. I have my own line of bullshit we might want to explore too, but this was, the main motivation for this, this connecting right here. So I'm very curious and eager to find out, any kind of help that I can provide this sweet girl. I'm down for. So what's next?
Well, our kids filter a lot for us, and so do our animals as well. And a lot of kids are contracted right now to kind of clear up all of the family shit that all of our ancestral baggage, all of our Akashic stuff. So Akashics and ancestral stuff is slightly different, but there's crossovers. So ancestral is literally like the journey of your DNA since before we were human.
Okay.
So it's your physical family line. And then your Akashics it's the journey of your soul. So, at some point you've probably been your granny's grandma. So your Akashics and your ancestry kind of,
Mixed together.
meet and diverge. But that creates a huge fucking mess of cords, contracts, bullshittery. And, even I don't understand it all sometimes because there's so much of it. And that's why I'm still studying. But with Layla, definitely, because I said to you yesterday that I'd started to tap in a little bit, and I feel like there's definitely a connection on the family line. And the women in the family tend to carry a lot of the mother line stuff. And the reason for that is because we literally use our mother's birth canal as a portal to enter the world, right? So if you can imagine, you remember that game that we used to play at school called the cat's cradle thing with all of the
strings.
So basically you've got your first female ancestor. They give birth to a woman, and then maybe they give birth to another woman, and then maybe one of these from back here gets reincarnated here, but all of the cords you had from here are going through all of the other women, and then it keeps on going through and through and through, and it gets really complex. So women carry a lot of motherline stuff, and I've seen especially with the eating disorder type stuff, that it's something that's carried on a motherline. I'm pretty sure for Layla, it's an ancestral thing. So we can look at the direct trail that leads from you to Layla.
Okay.
But what we're going to do is we're going to work on your connection to that past life shit.
Okay.
Because whatever healing you do transfers onto your kids automatically. But you already know this. This is why you're doing so much of this work, because you don't want to leave them with the burden. I mean, sure that they're going to have stuff themselves that they need to work out, but you want to relieve as much of the burden as possible, and relieve yourself of the burden.
Yes, you nailed it. Yes,
we don't want to be carrying this shit around. So. One of the ways I work is that I have a pendulum board, various pendulum boards. So if I start looking around and mumbling, it's because I'm asking questions and stuff like that. So what's going on with Layla and our eating stuff? So I'm getting again that it's ancestral, and that it is on the mother line. And when I was tapping in, I kind of got a disgust around eating. Now, sometimes the records can be really literal, or sometimes they can be a bit twisty-turny. We have to apply weird logic. And it might be that there are several layers to what's going on with Layla. But we can certainly look at clearing a layer of it today, and come back another day and see what else we can find.
Thank you.
Because sometimes this shit takes a lot. It's like onions, all of the layers.
It definitely is. It really
is.
And
every layer makes you cry, and it's, so much fun. fucking onions. It's one of my running jokes because I've got a group that I run and I'm always talking about the healing onion, and it's fucking annoying. It's like another layer of the fucking onion, and they're really used to me swearing like a trooper. So I'm from the East End of London. That's my excuse. I'm foul-mouthed.
I don't have an excuse. Oh, I'm connected to Eric. That's my excuse. It's spiritually genetic.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So what did I track? I was tracking yesterday, and I had a thought about eating something about being forced to eat rotten food because it was the only thing available to her. So the eating disorder is not Layla's. So that's the interesting thing about the way that the Akashic records and the ancestral stuff work, is half of the stuff that we're working through isn't even our shit. It's somebody else's baggage that we've just carried forward, either in this DNA or via our soul's journey, that sometimes it's really easy for us to let go of. And one of the other bees I get in my bonnets is the whole idea in this modern spirituality that we have to keep on going through the lesson in order to learn it, because that's not necessarily true. Providing we've learned the lesson, and fuck me, how many times can we keep learning the lesson to keep on going through the same thing, right? So, I mean, you, for example, how many times have you gone through the same lesson with the twin flame bullshit?
I had to repeat that one experience twice, but they did have their own stuff. But the one was, well, I'll go back. Even with the one twin, I had to just create shame for myself over and over and over again to process so much shame. Would have been nice to get it done like that.
Well, perhaps I can give you some techniques that will help.
Okay. I'm done with that shame. I need techniques for my current issues.
There's always more shame or guilt or some bullshit.
Yeah, there's always something.
So that was what I was getting. So it was a disgust around food, but it wasn't a disgust about herself. And it wasn't necessarily about control either, because I know that the modern day definition of an eating disorder is often connected with the need to control. But I don't feel like that's the case with her, because I don't feel like she's trying to control anything about herself. It's just something's bumped up against a resonance field that's triggered this past life memory to come forward and manifest as an eating disorder. So there isn't necessarily anything wrong with her. I know it looks that way, but a lot of it is smoke and mirrors, and it's stuff that we can get to the origin point. We call it the point of origin. You get to the point of origin and collapse the emotions around it, and then do an ancestral healing, then we can clear a lot of this. So my pendulum started going now, because the way that I work is often when we're talking or when I'm rabbiting on, usually it's the other way around. My higher self kicks in with your higher self and they start having a conversation. So my higher self and fairy girl are like, let's get this done. Where is the point of origin for this? What can we go and find and collapse now that is going to radically change this situation and create a quantum leap in healing? So sometimes it doesn't look like I'm doing anything at all. And sometimes it's just about having a conversation and shifting the energy that way.
Right.
When did Layla first start to display these problems? Was there anything going on around her at the time that triggered it?
I at first believed that there was like nothing that triggered it, and that's why I thought it was, solely generational. But using my own life as an experience, we even though this life, I had to create a circumstance to mimic the past life so I can recreate that trauma. So in her life, and I was completely unaware of this for so long, she just didn't open up to me, but there was bullying at school. And I know that she was a victim the same way I am, from the TV and the airbrushed photos and the expectations of worthiness through, and I joke with her that it's all Megan Fox's fault because she's so beautiful. And, she's a nice girl. I'm not really blaming her, but, we all want to look like Megan Fox. At least I sure wouldn't mind. So it's the diet culture stuff mixed with the bullying and probably watching me diet and try to value myself through a smaller body. So, I dumped my garbage on her, but I too was a victim, so I don't really hold myself responsible for that. And this has started, it really became like a big deal, like this spring. It hasn't been going on for too long. So I feel a little bit fortunate to recognize it so early.
You said that it happened quite quickly.
Yes. Yes. And I don't even have I mean, it was like one day she just stopped eating her lunch and she'd bring it home instead of eating it. And I was like, why are you not? And she'd have an excuse, but sure, one day or 2 days it happens, but every day, no, there's something bigger going on here.
So now we need to go back and find out what is the point of origin. Okay, so has it got something to do with eating rotten food? It has. So there's a past life where she had to eat rotten food. Was it Layla? No, it was an ancestor. Yes. So it's an ancestral echo of something, like an encoded thing in the DNA. My cat's meowing at me. She won't get you. It's fine.
She's scary.
She's filtering for me at the moment. She's limping.
Oh.
So because there's some stuff that I'm refusing to look at for myself. It's like, okay, I need to sort it out now so the cat doesn't limp.
Interesting. She's laying a guilt trip on you.
She is laying a guilt trip on me. Okay, so how much of this has got to do with... Okay, so I wonder how much of her eating disorder has got to do with the way you're dealing with the ancestral trigger. So it's like a line of triggers. And so it's activated in her as a way to get you to deal with your stuff as well.
Yes, I believe that. And also the timing, I couldn't help her or deal with my shit till I finished that twin shit. No, there's no way I could have done both. So I'll just see how they have their own timeline going for us.
It's always wonderful how you think you get one thing done and then suddenly there's something else on your plate.
This threw me.
Never get a break.
I know. That's why they would have me have surgeries and stuff. And I'm like, but take another organ. I'm ready for a break. But
take a kidney.
Right. But I forgot. Keep going.
You can talk whilst I'm like tracking this, because you might just intuitively say something that is another piece of the puzzle.
Okay, let me add something then. And I got an opportunity to talk to Heather and Eric the other day, and what you were just saying, I forgot what you were saying, but it reminded me that, and I don't understand it all the way. It may make more sense later, but are you familiar with how I've said many times that I release through my hands and my finger skin gets bad? So every time I process something, that's the way it manifests in the physical way. So Eric said something to the effect of her eating disorder is the physical manifestation of whatever other things are going on inside. The heat, I don't know. I can't get, that's all I got. So
yeah, but the way, even like spirits on the other side don't have all of the answers, because they still have an ego, they still have a speciality. It's not like they cross over and they become these all-knowing, all-seeing,
I used to think they did. Yeah,
right.
They too, have opinions, they have filters. Yes,
it's like one of my mentors said, if you had a granny that was really bad with money, just because she crossed over, you wouldn't then go and ask her for advice about money, because she's probably just as bad with the idea of abundance on the other side as she was over here. So,
exactly. Yep.
We all, and God knows there's plenty of egos on the other side that are still active as fuck. So what is going on with her? What is it triggering? Sometimes it can take a little while to get the information to drop in.
Okay.
So just keep talking.
Oh,
because
okay.
You're going to say something. Don't just, if I just go off in the distance, that's just me looking for clues.
Okay. Well, she does truly have like a disinterest and disgust in food. And it's like, I can't handle chewing it. Like that grosses her out. So we have her drinking the meal replacement shakes or smoothies, whatever. I mean, I don't care what I get in her, as long as I get calories in her. I would prefer that it's nutrient dense, but I just want her to not die, be alive,
So that comes back to what I was thinking about her being forced to eat rotten food, because imagine how that would feel in your mouth. That would be like, it's
Mhm.
making me want to throw up, just the idea of it.
Yeah.
So there's definitely something to that. But
Mhm.
I also think that there's some shame attached to having to eat foods that was past its best. Like, she didn't have a choice, but she was aware that, okay, so that feels like that's something. So this is where the shame comes in, that she's carrying, that kind of feels like she's acting it out of body shame, but I don't think it is body shame. I think it's the shame that was carried through the family line from
Okay.
having to eat food that was like rotten, because it was
Uh-huh.
a case of like, either eat or don't,
Right. Eat this shit or die. Eat shit and
Yeah.
die. Sorry. So
God, I'm not the only one that just says random shit like that.
leave it to me. So it's I've had to a couple times, and I've never done this before. I felt really, but I have the best relationship with her. She really is one of my besties. My kids are my best friends. But she
Sorry, I'm tapping in now, so I feel like I'm
bleh.
actually going to throw up.
Fuck it off.
Just carry
So
on, it's fine.
okay. But I had to yell at her one time, and I screamed at her, drink this motherfucking shake now. Drink that fucking shake. And I felt so bad, but I was like, in the back of my head, I didn't lose control. I let myself be angry on purpose because I was hoping that might work, and it did. She drank her whole shake, but man, I was so traumatized after that by yelling at her. And you'd think that poor girl would be mad at me and hate me, and she's like, "Mommy, you do everything you can to take care of me. You're
She
doing
knows
all
that
the
you're
right
just trying to
things."
help her.
Yeah, so I can scream at this girl, and she still loves me and expresses gratitude.
Of course she loves
I don't
you.
deserve her.
Oh, you so do deserve
I
her.
know.
I just okay. So what? I feel like I'm going to throw up. It's always really fun when you start tapping into somebody's body or
And
the past life body, and it's like,
I feel bad for her. I mean,
oh,
I don't want to make her eat when she's sick, but I don't have any choice. And I threaten her. I'm like, "You're going to get a feeding tube if you don't eat." And I've tried all the tactics: fear, guilt, anger, love, support, compassion. I've done them all.
so the anger from you is also part of the story, because you're carrying a part of this story too, which was, you were forced, because she was forced to eat, because the ancestor was forced to eat food that was past its best, and then there was the whole familial shame that went with that, with the survival and the screaming that you've got to eat this. This is literally all I've got to feed you. You've got to eat it. And probably the mum was going hungry, which is
Mm,
why she kind of feels the love for you, because despite the fact that you're having a go at her about eating this food that she feels is disgusting, she can tell that you're doing it from a place of love, in the same way that this ancestral mother was doing it from a place of love.
mhm,
It's like, I don't have any other option. I've got to, this is what all I could find for you today.
mhm.
So, do we need to know more about this story in order to collapse it? So there's more. We need more of the story. There's more details missing. So, is the place important? I want to say it was like Ireland or something like that. Do you have Irish ancestry?
I don't know. I don't know what I have in me. And that's so interesting to me too, because, Heather's all on the, Black Lives Matter and Indigenous people rule or whatever, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I mean, not about them, but about me. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I got to take that out of my own awareness. That's one less thing I had to be angry about and heal from.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if there's, I don't know why I keep on cycling back to potatoes.
Because they're full of carbs and we love them so much.
Yeah, but I'm also thinking of the Irish
Uh-huh.
potato blight and
Uh-huh.
famine. And
Yeah.
I had a life where I died as a 10-year-old boy in the potato famine. My
Blech.
family just threw me on a cart, and that was it.
Can you
Yeah, that
imagine
was
just eating like raw potatoes all the time for sustenance? Even if you
uh,
cooked them, still, I love them, but not for every meal all the time.
right. But imagine then he having to eat potatoes with blight, fungal. Ugh. Ugh. Okay.
I'm not that empathic. I'm not getting sick.
Oh, do we know enough now? Okay, so that was the missing piece. So it was okay, truth. Was it actually the Irish potato famine? Right. Sometimes the way it works with the stories is that it's not necessarily the whole truth, but it's enough of an image or the vibration or the resonance of what it is that you're trying to clear that it just, all you need to do is trigger the resonance in order to clear it from your field.
That makes sense.
That's basically how it works.
Okay.
So do we have any emotions that we need to clear with this? Yes, we do. So let's just track some emotions. So I'm going to talk you through a little visualization because you're going to do the healing for the family line. And it's super easy. I can't remember, do you see stuff can you like see stuff when you close your eyes, or is it more like you know that stuff is happening?
Yeah, I don't see anything. Just color swirls once in a while. Yeah, that's it.
I usually just see the inside of my eyelids.
The color swirls, it's the light.
Come on, I want to see something.
I know.
And then you squeeze your eyes hoping for a little burst of light, but no, it's just the inside of my eyelids. I burp a lot when I'm clearing for people as well, which is really disgusting, but I don't care.
At least you don't have to let them rip like H does.
I sometimes do purge myself, like after a session. Sometimes the energy does go that way. I'm like, well, I feel clean now.
Yes, but that's off camera. There's the difference.
Hopefully off camera.
She's so proud of herself too.
Okay, so what emotions do we need to track in relation to this? So there's shame, regret, suffering, disgust. There's always some anger in there somewhere. What else have we got? That just about covers it. Okay. So this is on the mother line. Do we need to draw? Okay, so we're just going to call in the entire ancestral line and just see if we can mix it all in one go. Okay, let's just see. Are there any other layers to this that we need to track today? Are there other layers of this that need? So there are other layers of this that need to be tracked, but this is the thing that's coming up today. And you can't do too much of this stuff at once because when you're clearing this resonance field stuff from your body, you know, it's like when you do a big healing on yourself or you do a big release, it knocks you out for a couple of days.
It really does. Yes.
Your body stores toxins around all of these packets of ancestral information. And when you clear something, it's like, well, it releases all of the crap around the energy. And so you kind of go into a bit of a detox reaction as well. So, you know, we've all been there if we've been on our own healing quest where we've done way too much and then we've knocked ourselves out for a couple of weeks. I don't want to do that to you and Layla. So,
okay.
So I'm just going to talk you through a little visualization, or I call it a visualization, but it's a knowing. It's a knowing. So you just get comfortable and close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths. And then we're going to ask to call in your ancestral line who are connected with this issue that you have with food and the issue that Layla has with food. So we can ask to bring all of them forward, whoever they are. And whilst they're witness to this, we're going to ask you to imagine that you're holding a bubble in your hands. Feel it, see it, sense it. And ask your higher self to fill that bubble with the point of origin for what happened, what was causing this disgust with food, particularly for Layla. So ask Fairy Girl to just shove everything in that bubble, that point of origin, that disgust with the food, the disgust with self, all of those emotions. I want you to feel them pouring through your body and into your hands and into the bubble. Fill it up with all of the shame, the guilt, the disgust, the anger. Pour it all into this bubble. And I want your higher self to also add to that bubble all of the other points in your past lives and ancestral lives that also hold the same resonance. So we're going to get rid of all of this gunk at once. And when you feel that that bubble is completely full of all of this shit and that gunk and all of the emotions, I want you to clap your hands and disperse it and send it off to source.
Hang on, we're gonna get more shit in there. Hang
Yeah,
on.
let's get it all in there.
I'm just, you guys can't see this, but I can feel my hands. They're, they're tingling.
It can feel heavy sometimes as well, like the weight of all of that.
Go. Get the fuck out. Leave us alone.
So we're going to send that energy back through the ancestors now.
Okay.
So I just want you to imagine your ancestors are all with you. And I want you to see their bodies disappearing. So they're just little points of light. So they're just their soul sparks.
Oh, that's a nice term. Soul spark. That's beautiful.
And I want you to do that for yourself as well. So it's just your soul spark and their soul spark. And call Layla's soul spark forward as well and see if she wants to play.
She wants to play.
Yeah. So I want you to thank all of your ancestors for showing up today to help with this healing. Tell them that you see them, that you appreciate them, you accept them, you forgive them for everything that you perceive that they might have done, and you ask their forgiveness for anything that they perceive that you might have done. And then I want you to draw that family line through you one at a time, sending that healing energy of that collapsed energy that we've just dissipated, pull them all forward and through you. And I want you to call all of the parts of your soul back as you're doing it as well, all of the parts that you might have ever given away. And give back to them any bits that you might have taken inadvertently. Just keep feeling that energy cycling through you until you feel like you get to the point of origin.
I have to, because we're doing this, to show people too. I don't know what that means to feel like I'm at the point of origin.
You'll know because the energy will stop cycling. That last person will pass through you. Okay. And it's like, this is where this started. This is where this problem with food started, the shame and the guilt and all of that is relevant to this. And you might feel a little resistance when you get to that person. So just float in front of each other and just appreciate each other, because they definitely appreciate the fact that you're doing this healing for them. Because you're releasing them from so much pain and releasing yourself from so much pain as well. So give them a hug, tell them you love them. And then let them go. Thank you. Thank you, ancestors.
Thank you.
How do you feel?
A little spent.
Yeah. You processed a lot there.
That's so interesting because it's pretty easy.
It really is. And
I always say, like, spirituality is so hard and so easy at the same time, isn't it?
It really is. And one of the things that I'm learning with this course that I'm still doing, and I'm going to be doing it for another year or two yet, is that it can be really complex, but the easiest way to get shit done is to simplify it as much as possible. Exactly. And I love shoving everything into a bubble and just let the universe take care of it. And I snap my fingers all the time. I'll be walking along and I'll be running what we call a clearing statement, and I'll just be snapping my fingers to dissipate energy all the time.
I don't use those kinds of tricks enough. It's because I guess I just don't understand them, or I don't believe in them, or whatever. I know I'm my own worst enemy. We always are our own worst enemies when it comes to such things, but I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm going to try to apply either your technique or my own, because that's another thing, is that you get to make up your own. There's no rules about that.
Exactly. And, somebody else had sort of shown me how to do the bubble thing, and I did it a bit differently. And then I know somebody else that does a similar thing. And it's, there's no wrong or right way to do it as long as you get it done, and it's when we avoid doing it and we avoid looking at ourselves and we avoid, it doesn't have to be hard, yeah, it can feel kind of painful when we're bringing those emotions up, and especially for you because you feel so much. Excuse me.
That's Layla's fault. Just kidding.
Thanks, Layla.
Can I switch gears a little bit, or are we still on this one?
Let's just see if there's anything else that we can track for Layla today. Let me just ask the question. No, there's nothing more that we can do for her today, but there might be at some point in the next couple of weeks. So we'll review the situation, come back if we need to, and track whatever else needs to be tracked.
Okay.
So let's switch.
Okay, so this is my current conundrum, my personal conundrum, and you could just, speak as just a friend, just, don't even have to tap in, although, whatever comes down is nice too. But I mentioned that I talked to Eric and through Heather the other day, and he says, you're always talking about I'm victim to no one, and I'm not, I'm the only person I'm ever a victim to is myself. Everything that happens to me is something I chose or agreed to. I understand that. But, so now I really am a victim to myself, because even in my last video, I don't know if you've seen it, but I was like, I feel like my job is to suffer for myself and other people. I'm constantly suffering. And I cry all the time. I hurt all the time. It's constant. And Eric's comment to me was, well, if that's the way you perceive it, then that's the way it is. And I hear what he's saying. I agree with that. The whole law of attraction kind of thing, but I'm having such a hard time finding the joy in all of my tears. I can't find a perspective right now. And I don't want to be a victim. I see that sometimes you just have to be sad. That's part of it. But I feel like all of the hard work, I'm waiting for those rewards to come. I'm waiting for my joy. In fact, I have a really funny story about that. I'll do a post about it, but I was really lamenting one night, going, all I ever do is suffer. Just bring me a little bit of joy. I just want a little joy. And my husband, sometimes he swipes supplies from work. Well, this time, the supply, a brand new supply he's never brought home to me before, was a little teeny tiny bottle of Joy dish soap. And so it's sitting on my counter. So I'm like, fuck you, universe. That's not the little joy I was asking for. But I did get a big kick out of it. So I don't know how to flip my perspective. How do you find joy in your daughter's eating disorder? How do you find joy in the constant conflict you have with your husband? And the other things in my life that I find gratitude for, there's a difference between gratitude and joy. I'm very grateful for the home I live in, and I'm very grateful for the relationship I have with my boy right now. He's like my go-to for hugs and love and support. I'm grateful for things, but gratitude's not the same as joy. It's a little bit different. So I don't know how to switch my perspective. What am I missing?
What if there's something holding this belief in place that you have to suffer on behalf of everybody?
It was only just a new conclusion I had. I'm glad to get rid of it. I don't want to suffer for anybody anymore. I want to have joy for everybody. I'll experience joy for all y'all. Go on, give it to me.
But I actually think that what you've done is created a contract for yourself to transmute other people's crap for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, you are taking on other people's shit. Mm-hmm. And that contract is still running. Okay. So it's the contract made in this life. So how about we revoke, rescind, and recant anywhere and everywhere, and all of those contracts and oaths and agreements that you've made with yourself to process other people's crap on their behalf and to suffer on other people's behalf. Let's kick that out of your field. Why do we need that?
Okay, I'm going to argue just for a sec, just, go through this process. Because I feel like, let's just go with Layla, I love her so much, and I want to help her and I guide her, of course. So how do you help and guide without suffering when somebody's, you know what I mean? It's like, and like when you're saying, just get rid of it, my immediate thought was like, well, then how can I help her? I will be abandoning her. You know what I mean?
Why does clearing a contract to suffer with other people's emotions automatically mean that you won't longer be helping her?
I don't know.
Because all we're saying is let's take away the suffering part,
okay,
and let you help her with emotional objectivity.
Okay.
Because one of the other things that I've learned is you've got to put your own oxygen mask on first.
Mm-hmm. I'm
And the
not
other way of
taking care
saying
of
that,
myself.
right? And the other way of saying is that you can't pour from an empty cup, but I like the oxygen mask analogy better because, you know, they say that on airplanes, don't they? If you know, you've got to put your own oxygen mask on first. You can't help anyone else unless you're the one who can breathe. So
Right.
how can you help other people if you're taking on their pain and suffering? Does it make it easier to help other people if you're feeling what they're feeling? Or do you need to be able to tap in just enough to say, okay, I can empathize with what's happening and I understand how you're feeling, but is it actually for us to process anybody's pain? And I would flip this and say that actually, if we are doing our utmost to transmute somebody else's pain on their behalf, then we are stripping them of the opportunity to learn and grow.
That's true. That's true.
Because if somebody just snapped their fingers and took all of your lessons away, your life would be pretty empty.
Right? I feel like I suffer with them, not necessarily for them.
But do you have to suffer with them? Do you even have to? I mean, yeah, when it's your kids, it's a bit different. It's you know, it's,
right.
I mean, I don't have kids, but I have a dog and a cat.
Those are your children, and when they hurt, when you know they're out missing all night, it hurts you. You know,
it does. It does. So I do get it.
Yeah. It's a tricky one to figure out, you know, how do I not hurt for the people? Yeah.
There's got to be an off switch. You've got to look after yourself. You've got to say, okay, this is as much as I can feel for this person, because if I feel any more for them, I can't actually help them.
I'm losing myself. I truly am. And that's one of the, not quite reprimands, but, you know, strong encouragements of you have got to take more time to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
I'm the busiest person that does nothing I've ever met. Right?
Pretty sure that if I didn't work full time, I'd be the same.
Yeah. Okay. So I do want to work on that because I don't want to hurt so bad for everybody else. I don't want their traumas to be my traumas. Stop. So I'm trying to put up this wall and I'm trying to set boundaries. I think I kind of am actually. I gave my husband the riot act this morning because he's finally appreciating that I'm helping him. And I have this image that you've probably seen it online, but anyway, it's where the healer is pulling somebody, like it's a cartoon. They're pulling somebody through like an energetic filter and leaving them muck behind. And I'm like, that's what I'm doing for you. And he's like, well, keep on doing it. And I'm like, I don't want to do it anymore. Pull yourself through your own filter. I'm tired of it. Yeah.
Exactly that. Because when you're focused on other people's shit all the time, it's a really good way of playing aloof to your own shit. I do this all the time. We get a savior complex, like we want to help the world because we know that we can, but then we know we're ignoring our own problems. And you're a direct mirror for what I'm going through at the moment, because I had a healing session of my own yesterday with one of my mentors, and she was, was it yesterday? It was the day before. I don't even know what fucking day it is.
Yeah, welcome to my world.
Oh God. And so she said that what I keep on doing is because I want to help people. So people will come to me with a problem and I'll be like, well, I can help with that. And then what I allow them to do is plug into me in a really subtle way. So we know about cords that connect energetically to people, but you can also get these little smaller ones that are like filaments. And there's one particular person that I kept on putting myself out there for, and they kind of had all of these filaments wrapped around my kidney. And I would wake up every morning with this intense pain in my side where she'd been like sucking me dry like a vampire every night. And so we cleared all of that and suddenly the pain's gone away. But when we keep on, there's this law of energetic exchange, right? You can't just keep on doing stuff for people without getting anything in return, because you just give bits of yourself away constantly. And if you're not putting anything back into yourself, it doesn't have to be from other people. It could just be you putting back into yourself. You just leave yourself completely empty. And then what happens? So you're feeling energetically empty. So then what do you start doing? You start stuffing your face.
I was going to say eating.
Right?
Where's my licorice?
Pizza and Ben and Jerry's, because you're so energetically like drained that your body's craving a replacement. But food isn't the replacement. It's not the direct replacement. I mean, yeah, good food can definitely help to make you feel energized, but you know, it's so I'm literally going through the same thing with the food at the moment as well. I'm just, I keep on going through a phase of I managed to cut sugar out completely, and then it's gradually crept back in, and I will eat all of these, no problem, and I put a tub of Ben and Jerry's, and it's like I go into autopilot mode. It's like part of me switches off, I shovel it all in, and then I wake up and I'm like, huh, where did that go?
Yeah. I haven't
And
done that in a while, but I recently had a relapse and I was like, why I'm still eating. I don't even want this. I'm not hungry. It doesn't even taste that good.
no, it
So I'm
doesn't even
really
taste
trying
good,
to
does it?
really trying to analyze what it is. And did you see that article I posted? And it was like, maybe this is just an opportunity to rewire. This isn't making me feel good. I don't really need this. I was trying to dig deep and find the reason for it. And maybe there is one, but at the same time, I think I was just overthinking. I just need to realize that this isn't replacing whatever's missing in my life.
No, it's not. But sometimes we can get outside interference when it comes with food. So we can, some people have a tendency to pick up what is called a vibrational match walk-in. And it's literally a disincarnate spirit that kind of sits in your body because it needs to find a way home. And you're a vibrational match for it. So it just sort of tucks itself in. And I helped one lady clear, it was actually a spirit of a little girl. We pick them up at hospitals and airports are two hotspots for stuff like this. Especially if we're knocked out under a general anesthetic, we don't have any control over our energy field and stuff can pop in and out at will.
Interesting.
It's kind of weird and freaky. So this one woman that I did session with had a spirit of a young girl that had been dead for a long time, but she didn't know how to get home. And this woman felt like a motherly energy. So she kind of lodged with her. And she'd come through Denver airport and then she came out of the other side and all of a sudden she was craving pizza and hot dogs and things like that she wouldn't normally have eaten. And then we sat down and did the session and we crossed over this little girl. We had her mum come and meet her and take her over to the other side. And it was all really emotional. And then all of a sudden she just dropped about 10 pounds of water weight overnight where she'd just been holding on to all of this crap.
So, based on that, I'm switching gears again. Based on that, what you just said, how does the theory of you are a victim to no one play in? Because then I allowed that on some level to come and attach to me. You know what I mean?
But did you? Because
I don't know, because I feel like I have 100%, nobody can do anything to me without my permission. So
there's a difference between permission and knowledge, though. So unless we are 100% aware of our field 100% of the time, we can't always know what's coming in and out. And sometimes stuff is really subtle.
But Fairy Girl would know, even if I don't. Fairy Girl's giving consent, I feel. I don't know. That it confuses me because how does free will come into that? And it makes me nuts. I don't, it's hard for me to grasp
Sometimes
that
I just
stuff.
try not to think too hard about stuff and just accept it because
maybe that's the best advice. I am an overthinker.
Sometimes there's just no fucking reason for it. It just fucking happens. And sometimes it's easier to just accept that it does.
Okay.
I mean, if it doesn't feel like the truth, then just throw it away. I don't give a shit, whether you believe any of this or not. But
no, I'm not trying to be contrary. I just really want to understand these concepts. But, I think you're onto something. Quit overthinking it, Carrie. Who cares?
And the thing is with overthinking, so I mentioned earlier about we can make shit really hard for ourselves. And when we get into that whole vibe of overthinking stuff, then we start adding emotions to it. And then what we actually do is create a new Akashic record for ourselves. So you give yourself more shit to clear because you're literally creating a timeline. You're creating a groove that you feel compelled to follow. This is what happens when we speak something into existence. We are creating an Akashic groove that we then feel compelled to follow. And we have to break the programming.
Okay. I think I might be in that place right now. I mean, the way I just laid down the law this morning, because I always try to be kind. And one of the things I'm trying to learn is to calm the fuck down. But today I was like, I don't want to calm down. I earned the right to be angry and I'm going to speak and I'm going to speak any way I want. And I wasn't, particularly hurtful going out of my way to be vindictive, but I was just emoting all of the things that I tried and I want to be a nice person. I don't want to be hurtful, but I didn't give a fuck. I don't care if it hurts you or not. That's not my intention. My intention is to express myself, something I'd never let myself do. I mean, that's what my silver linings is for, but I don't rage on that show like I do at home. walls stay intact on the show, but behind the scenes, it's not necessarily the case. So yeah, I think I'm at that place where I am like creating those kinds of boundaries, but I'm still on the fence with it because just an example of yesterday, I took my kid to a party and it was kind of far. So I was like, well, I'll hang out here for a couple hours. I went and got a pedicure for myself. And then she's like, I want to stay longer. I want to stay longer. And because I know she's going to get admitted to this hospital, I just let her have more time. I was like, I'm kind of sacrificing myself for her under the circumstances. It felt legit. But as soon as I get home, I'm like, okay, Ryan, now we can watch the Disney movie that I rented. And then after we watch the Disney movie I rented, I go and take the dog for a walk and it's 10 o'clock p.m. Now it's my turn, but now I'm tired. So I just go to bed. So there's nothing for me, even though I'm, trying to set these boundaries. It just, I'm not quite there yet, but I think I'm on that path right now because I use that same oxygen mask analogy too. And have you seen the movie on Netflix called Hillbilly Elegy?
No.
It's really good, and I had Layla watch it because she, her friends sucked the life out of her. And basically, at the end of the day, what it is that this man has to choose between taking care of his drug addicted mother or going to get a job as a lawyer or an internship, something he wants real bad. And he's like, I don't know which one to do. And if he stayed with his drug addicted mother, he'd miss this opportunity, which he needed in order to take care of her later or, himself, everything. So it's like, don't go down with a sinking ship. It's okay to take care of yourself. You can't take care of anybody else if you don't take care of yourself. So that was like a really profound, movie about boundaries, even when it's, your family, which is the hardest place to create those boundaries because there's love involved.
It's where you need them the most, right? Mm-hmm. Because we've both had difficult upbringings in some ways with parents that were either physically not there or emotionally not there. So you have to learn all of this stuff for yourself as an adult. And I never saw a good example of a relationship. I never saw a good example of communication.
Me neither.
I never grew up with any good examples of what emotional maturity and intelligence look like.
Right.
So I was a fucking fucked up girl for a long time, expecting to find all of this from outside of myself, as you do, because
right. I know you have a similar
maybe
story.
Lots of sex with bad people.
Right, giving your power away to the men because you want that love so bad. And what have you seen? You haven't seen the healthy relationship, so you just go by with what you know.
And we assume that being together with somebody in any capacity is what a relationship is meant to look like, even though that's absolute fucking bullshit. So but one of the things that's really helped me, which might help you if you start reading up about this, is looking into something called the control dramas.
Okay.
It was something that was written about in the Celestine prophecy.
Okay.
But it's been expanded upon by other authors. So there's four main control dramas. There's aloof, and we can play aloof to other people as well as to ourselves. There's the victim or the poor me. I'm definitely have.
I'm there right now.
Yeah. And then there's the interrogator and the intimidator, and they all kind of play off each other. But what they are all doing is competing for energy against each other. So you'll find that an interrogator will come in and they'll just pepper you with questions constantly. Well, what the fuck are you doing it like that for? And if you'd done it the way I'd said it, then maybe it wouldn't be this way. And then maybe the other person goes into victim mode and starts, so then you've got this push pull for the energy. And then you play the victim because you're trying to get them to stop. And then maybe you'll go into playing aloof and you'll just run away from it and pretend it didn't happen, or you'll minimize yourself or quieten yourself or not express yourself in a healthy way because you're seeking not to get involved in somebody's aggressive or intimidator energy. So it's something that when you start becoming aware of how they play out in family dynamics, you can start looking at it and thinking, how can I step away from it and not be involved in that anymore? Because and then you tend to find that you have more energy because you're not being sucked into everybody's drama all the time. And then not allowing yourself to be sucked into your own drama either, because one of the hardest things to do is to call yourself out on that shit.
I feel like I'm pretty good. I feel like as far as self-awareness goes, I probably am, I'm fairly self-aware in many ways. I always get there. I don't need anybody to tell me how I'm fucking up because I'll figure it out eventually. But even my drama, like with my husband, I feel like, we have like this yin yang thing going on, and whatever trauma he's putting on me, I clearly need it until I don't need it anymore. And it's just, we match so many times. I'm going to do an episode soon about this huge blowout / epiphany / healing we had last weekend. It was like, we both had a shift at the same time and didn't even realize it till the next day. But that's just, it's so interesting to me the way that works. And my reason for sharing that particular bit is because it's so hard to recognize that these relationships, these tumultuous relationships or conflicting relationships, are here to benefit us, to help us learn. And we usually have them with our family. So you can just be a victim and say, he's so mean to me. Or you can say, why is this happening? What am I meant to learn from this? What is he providing me? So when you take that stance, then you get less victim-y. I'm just in a low place and I'm really feeling sorry for myself.
But you're allowed to, and maybe that's
Yes.
just a sign that you're not looking after yourself properly.
I think that may be true too. Yes. There's always, I don't stay in this place of victimhood. I never do, but I have to grieve and mourn my hurts. I can't deny that they're there and shove them away. So
of course not.
Yeah,
it's when we turn wallowing into an art,
right.
It's when we turn it in performance art and we're like, oh, I'm the victim. And oh God. And that's when it's like, okay, enough now. Just fucking quit it, because it's too much then. And then we're making it a part of our story and our identity, and then we're creating even more crap for ourselves. So of course it's fine, we're meant to feel our feelings, and that's the part of the problem, isn't it, is that we've all kind of been trained not to feel our feelings, or pretend that we don't, or not talk about it. And
do you feel like I'm getting personal, are you a really big super feely person? I mean, everybody knows I am. I like wearing my tears like jewelry, but are you very feely too?
For a long time, I was completely shut down. And I actually had to kind of re-educate myself as to what emotions actually were, because I'd pushed them down so far and bottled them up because I couldn't cope with them, because I wasn't shown how to cope with them. So, and then it became a scary thing, right? Because you've
unleashed the beast. So what was that like? Because, I've never had, my life has been like duality all the time, but I've always been emotional. I've never stifled myself. So what was that like when you did open that Pandora's box? Was it like scary and painful and relief? Was there any joy in it, or?
It was a combination. There was definitely some relief. I mean, as you know, I was drinking quite heavily, and I've been sober now for about 11 months. Thank you. So I was using alcohol a lot to stifle everything. And then what was underneath all of that was just this raging anger and injustice. And I had to get past a lot of the anger first. And what people don't realize is when you give up alcohol, not only do all of your emotional crutches disappear along with the alcohol, but you start turning on all of those parts of yourself, all of the bits that read all of the different dimensions in your body. You start turning those back on again, because what you do when you drink alcohol is pretty much turn off your ability to read anything other than your physical body and your Akashic records. So I was completely disconnected to everything within and without. And when you stop drinking alcohol, suddenly everything starts to turn on. So last year I nearly had a breakdown, because all of a sudden
short-circuited.
Everything was coming back online. And so I went into a depression, suicide spiral again. And I thought giving up alcohol was going to fix this, and it didn't. And so I went downhill again, and briefly ended up as a member of the AA, but that's another story. I got out of there, and then fell across this thing that I'm doing now, which is so to answer your question, how did it feel? It was a relief. It's a relief to be able to admit that you have emotions and to be able to express them again,
to
get in touch with them, and to actually think, okay, I feel sad, and that's okay, and it's okay to be sad, it's okay to be angry, it's okay to tell someone, hey, you pissed me off. instead of walking on eggshells and assuming that just by telling somebody that you're pissed off with them, that they're going to retaliate and maybe hurt you in some way.
Yeah.
So to do that within that safe space that I created for myself, and to be able to gradually take the lid off and let a few out at a time, it's been, yeah.
Because you shared your story with me, and I read some of your blog posts, and
Mm.
you were in a fucked up place. So, you've really come a long way. I mean, I don't follow, you're super close, but I see it. You would not have been able to sit here and talk to me. You wouldn't even have the dialogue or any kind of understanding, like, when you're in that fucked up place.
I wasn't this version of me.
Yeah.
I'm like so fucking different, so different.
Doesn't that feel
I
good?
just need to transform my body now so that my outside matches my inside,
Mm-hmm. No, I'm in that same place. And, I got the advice, you just got to quit caring. It ain't going to happen till you quit caring. And I don't know how to deal with that, but that'll happen eventually.
Is that even true though?
I don't even know. I mean, can't I care a little bit? Can't I care a little bit?
Is there anything wrong with wanting to be attractive?
Well, to feel attractive, because you can.
I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to be attractive either.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't either. And that's relative. As long as your version of attractive is your version, not somebody else is telling you what you need to be. So,
I mean, I'm not doing it for anybody else but me.
Right. And that's where
it's not like a performance for anybody. I put my makeup on because I like to put it on. And also I look terrible without it.
That's the difference with me is, with finishing the twin work was that, I was doing it to keep up with the Joneses. I was doing it to like keep up and be worthy of him. And by him, I mean Fairy Boy, because he's pretty. But now it's like, whether or not I ever see him again, I need to feel good. I don't want anybody touching me, not Fairy Boy, not Michael, not anybody. Brad Pitt, nobody is allowed to touch me until I feel better about myself. Then they can have free reign. Just kidding. But yeah, you have to want it for you, not to impress anybody else. So that is the difference. And that, that's okay.
And I think the thing is, even if I don't achieve the body of my dreams, providing I achieve a measure of comfort and acceptance, then I know that it doesn't really matter what I look like. It's who I am on the inside. That I know that old bullshit is true. It is true.
It is true. And it sounds like a cliche, but it's totally true. Wouldn't you just be so happy if you didn't have to deal with the bullshit of weight loss and you're like, I am living large and I love me as I am? I would really appreciate that I could flip that switch rather than go through the work of diet and exercise. I'd like to eat pizza and donuts all day and still be comfortable with myself, but I'm not, and that's okay too. But I would be just fine being this in this body if I were just fine with it, but I'm not.
Yeah,
it's a challenge. And I also think that wanting a different shape for yourself is also a means of self-love. It may be like, in a way, look like self-loathing, but if you truly want to be in this place over there, then love yourself enough to get there and take the measures. And ultimately, how do you get there? Through good nutritious food, that's loving yourself, and movement, that's loving yourself. So it is another form of self-love, and not just trying to impress somebody else.
Right. That's the goal anyway. As long as I don't have to eat any kale, I don't mind.
I actually like kale, not too much, but a little bit of kale. Why don't people like kale? I think it's all right. Maybe because I got enough salad dressing on it.
So you don't actually taste the kale.
Right, there it is. Okay, so I want to switch gears one more time before I let you go. And because I'm seeing behind you, I want you to brag a little bit about your amazing art and tell us about that. Cause that's part of I know it's not like your livelihood, but I know that you sell it. It's beautiful. I love your stuff.
I haven't really been doing any art lately because I've been too busy doing like everything else, the Akashic work and taking clients on and wrestling with the idea of I really need to go part-time at work, but also being stuck with I need more money from my other businesses before I go part-time. So I haven't really done anything for ages. In fact, this thing, I don't even know what I don't even know what kind of bird it is. I was just like, I
Bird.
saw a really pretty picture on the internet. I was like, I want to paint it, bird. So I did. But yeah, so every now and then, oh, I like this. This is one of my favorite pieces. This didn't take me long to do, but this is a.
So is that like your zen when you're doing art? Is that like does it feel like you've
Yeah,
yeah.
it does. And so you obviously know a bit about my history, which was I had a really shitty relationship a few years ago that was kind of abusive, and he was narcissistic. And one of the ways that I sort of found the space to make some life-changing decisions for myself was that it was around Christmas 2016, and I shut myself in my room and started doing some artwork. And I was drawing a picture of one of my mum's dogs that had passed away a few years ago. And for some reason, he actually left me alone for that couple of days, because normally I would say I wanted some space, and he'd every 5 minutes be in there. You okay? Can I get you anything? What do you want? Oh, baby, I really want a hug. Fuck off, you piece of shit. Anyway, I don't mean that. I hope he's happy. He's probably not, but whatever.
Whatever. That's his problem. That's him.
So he actually left me alone, and it's like I went into this completely. I don't think I was entirely in my body for that time. It was. I would eat. I would sleep. I would walk Roxy, and then I would come home. And so it was the 2 days. It was a couple of days between Christmas and New Year, and I had to go to work. But for the 2 days after Christmas, I just sat at this desk and drew this picture. And I wasn't entirely there. It was like a part of me had gone off to process whatever it is I needed to process. And like my higher self was up there having a conversation. It's like, well, how do we get her out of this situation? We need to get her to make a decision. You know, she can't just keep on saying she wants to leave this dude and then never do it. So I actually made that decision, and I felt this sense of peace wash over me. And it was like, I knew what I needed to do, and I knew I was going to follow through with it. And so, yeah, the art kind of stuck, and he did not.
And so that's when you started it, though. It's not been like, interesting.
I've always done art, but I'd let it go. It wasn't, and it's a part of my soul makeup, how I like to create stuff. So, but yeah, it's something I try and do a little bit more regularly now.
It's good for you. It's good for the earth, because we like to see it. Okay, so I have one more question for you. I promise this time I'm going to set you free. Can I come and stay with you?
Yeah, of course you can.
Because the world's opening back up, and I have such a strong pull to Europe. I feel like it's the twins that are pulling me, but maybe not. I'm like, I kind of, I'm on the path again I let them go all the time, but I'm trying to let them go again, because it's taken up space that I need I need to focus on other stuff. That's just, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen later, but I still want to come. I want to come play with you. And
you definitely need to come and play.
Are you in London? Like London?
No, I live in Northampton. It's about 60, 70 miles north of London. So
okay.
Not far.
I mean, I don't really care. It's all England to me, but I just thought that you were in London.
No, I'm not in London. I am definitely not. I'm in this lovely place called Northampton, which is sort of not that lovely. It's okay,
we'll take a road trip. You can find me the lovely parts. Okay, well, Tracy, I loved this so much. I loved meeting you. I loved having this conversation with you, and I loved inviting myself to your house, because I really wanted. I do. I've thought that for a long time. I'm going to go stay with this girl. I just am. So I appreciate this time that you've given to me and helping me help my baby, and helping me have some insight for myself. So any of you out there that are interested in, look how easy that was. She just, we put things in a ball and snapped our fingers, and I felt lighter, and I'm going to really sit with that and feel that a little bit. And if nothing else, I did really enjoy the meet and just the therapeutic aspect of it. So thank you so much for your time and coming and being on my show with me. I have a love for you that I cannot explain, and I know that it's reciprocated. I just know it is. So thank you. Thank you for our friendship, and I hope that it grows. Want to grow us?
Yeah, let's grow, baby.
Okay, let's do it. All right, I'm gonna set you free and go check on the fam. All right, girlfriend. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.